can embark on a historical voyage with this world map. Guest purchased it at a Goodwill store 15 years ago, and the image of the map was created by William Blue, a Dutch cartographer, atlas maker, and publisher. At the top of the image, we can see a ridge which signifies that this piece is an original. The map is dated 1640, and the maker's marks are both visible at the bottom. A rare find such as this, authentic and in pristine condition, is estimated to be worth
$10,000 in a shop.
Holy cow. Really? I'm shocked.
That's remarkable news.
This family heirloom came from this guest's great-great-grandfather's jewelry store.
He started a family there, but then moved to Chicago, where he opened a jewelry store. He had that for many years, I don't know how long. And this was from his jewelry store.
The guest inherited it from her aunt, who cherished it all her life. The ring is a matched pair diamond ring. The diamonds are old European cut, but are both approximately 2 carats, with one slightly larger than the other.
One stone I estimated weighs 2 carats, and the other weighs just slightly more, 2.05 carats.
This diamond cut was popular in the early 1900s, but the mounting on the ring appears to be from a slightly later period. Although the larger diamond has a chip, after polishing and restoration, this ring should have an estimated value of
$15,000 each, so you're looking at $30,000 for the 2 diamonds.
That's remarkable news.
Yes.
Long before modern online advertisements were made and movies were shown online, theaters used what we call a lobby card. Lobby cards were positioned strategically in the lobby of a theater in order to raise awareness.
14 printed on cardstock paper, and they were meant to put in the lobbies.
This particular lobby card is called a title card, and it holds the portrait of the stars of a 1940 movie called Black Friday.
And because of that, they're really collectible. There's a major market for them.
For items that have existed for over 50 years, these cards are in top condition. As these cards are a representation of early advertisement, and because they are also in top condition, they would auction today at
$3,000 to $5,000.
The guest brought in a beautiful glass chandelier to the show. The item was identified as a French cameo glass chandelier made by Émile Gallet. He was a prominent figure in the Art Nouveau movement, known for his intricate glasswork. Gallet mastered the art of cameo glass, a technique that involves layering and carving different colored glass to create detailed designs. The artist's work often featured natural motifs, like flowers, insects, and landscapes. This particular piece depicted butterflies carved on the inside, symbolizing nature and transformation. The amazing piece's auction value was estimated to be
$8,000 to $10,000. Yes.
A well-crafted table made in Art Nouveau style is presented today on the show. The guest who brought the table acquired it at a yard sale some years back. This table was made by the Toby Furniture Company and was crafted circa 1900. The base of the table is well crafted and tells us about the precision needed to craft it, influenced by French and Belgian craftsmanship.
Toby was copying what they saw in some of the French and Belgian things that were being made across the sea,
which the Toby Furniture Company incorporated into their designs. This table, made with mahogany, is a fine example of Art Nouveau-influenced furniture and would be auctioned at
$4,000 to $6,000 on it.
That's wonderful. It's a good investment.
A look at this painting will most likely captivate one, with the image depicted being so very enticing to behold. This magnificent work of art was done by Gregory Gluckman. Gluckman was a painter in Paris, France, and Los Angeles, California. This painting is done on panel, which Gluckman preferred over canvas, and was created by layering the paint.
Old artists like Pablo Picasso and George Braque, they were in the Ambassador Hotel. That's where they had the gallery.
And sometimes depicted in Gregory Gluckman's paintings, this nude work is executed in a tasteful and artistic manner. This painting stands as a testament to Gluckman's mastery of color, form, and emotion. And at auction, it would be valued at
$8,000 to $12,000.
That's wonderful. It's a good investment.
The painting depicting some of the life experienced in the cold regions of Alaska is what is presented today. This painting was done by an Alaskan illustrator, Fred Mockentons. Mockentons specialized in depictions of Alaskan scenes, people, and wildlife.
And then in 1935, he intended to make a brief visit to his uncle in Alaska, but he ended up staying for 2 years.
And he was known as a colorist, as can be seen in this painting. As with most of Mockentons' work, the scene depicted in this painting is of Alaskan life.
It would depict frontier life and native animals and these beautiful Arctic landscapes.
This work is an oil painting done using glazed oil, which adds luminosity to the colors of the work. This painting is a representation of life lived in Alaska and serves as a window into that part of the world, which makes this piece valued at
$25,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I'm speechless.
A glance at this sword, and you would think it's a Japanese samurai sword, but it's called a Confederate officer sword.
Is what I always heard, but I don't know much about it.
Swords were used by officers of the Confederate States of America, but this particular type was used by cavalry soldiers. This specific sword was made by William McElroy, who used the war to make money. It has details which confirm it was made for officers.
Right.
And the etching is what sets McElroy off from all the other makers.
Okay.
Most of the time, they're real light and faint. You have to turn it in the light to be able to see it. This one, it goes boom.
The handle or grip of the sword is firm, and the sword exudes a confident aura. This sword is a piece of American history, and so today it would auction at
$50,000.
Oh, my Lord. I'm speechless.
Oh my goodness! I'm shocked.
This odd statue looks like a mini depiction of the Greek gods, but in reality, it's a mini cherub attached to a grape dish. This dish is made from silver.
Big scallop shell, and a lovely little cherub on the front with angel wings.
And its origins can be traced back to Russia. This grape dish was made by a respected jeweler called Peter Karl Fabergé. It was made between 1910 and 1915, around the time of the Russian Revolution.
Often you associate Fabergé with tiny little jewels, but they had a whole range of silverwares as well, coming out of their workshop, including your lovely scallop dish.
Although it looks normal, the attention to detail on this item is astonishing. Given its Russian origin, this grape dish would auction today at
£8,000 to £10,000 mark.
No! Oh my goodness! I'm shocked.
Chum is dragging me out to see something that he says we absolutely have to have for the shop.
We kick off the series with this epic man-made creation. Gas brings the Robosaurus, a transformer-like machine, to the show. He bought it at an auction, made a successful business out of it.
It's a money-making machine. It can be rented out. It can be leased out. We do special events. It can do bar mitzvahs. It can do big, giant demolition derbies. $25,000 is a day you can make from this thing when you put it on the road.
It has 24,000 pounds of crushing power with the claws.
Check out this cockpit. You look through this front window, and that's where the pilot sits. You're strapped into a seat. Your feet are on pedals. Your arms lock into devices, so when you move your arms, the robot's arms move.
It also shoots air cannons and can release confetti and fireworks. It's powered by a 500 horsepower diesel engine that drives 4 hydraulic pumps.
Right in here are 2 20-gallon propane tanks. That's what gives Robo his fire. And the power is back here.
The Robosaurus comes alive, revealing its majesty. The crushing power is evident in the car demonstration.
Oh, it's a convertible now. Is he ripping that car in half?
The Robosaurus is valued at
$1 million.
Holy.
Despite being a wonderful machine, the price tag is way above the shop's budget.
I mean, the Robosaurus is awesome, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to buy it. It's just way too much money to risk. I mean, it could easily end up bankrupting the shop. It was very cool, guys, but I have to admit, $1 million is a little out of my budget.
Well, I guess we gave it a shot, and I really appreciate your time. It was a very, very nice meeting you.
Just take a look at this incredible pot. In 1918, it was given to the guest mother as a wedding gift from her paternal grandmother.
Well, I wasn't too sure if it was new in 1918, so I checked with Newcomb College, and they told me the Pottery Club of New Orleans probably made this between 1890 and 1895.
This pot was made in Baronne Street, New Orleans, and dates as far back as the late 1880s. Similar pots by the New Orleans art pottery have this sort of embossed work and this sort of claret-colored glaze, but this is pretty special for a lot of reasons. Number one, the artwork is excellent.
This is a hand-thrown pot. If we look inside of it, you can see the throwing rings. That's from when it was raised up on a wheel. Those are the potter's fingers, probably.
Those are the potter's fingers.
Joseph Myers threw this pot, and those are probably his finger ridges on the inside of it.
That means all this decoration is not molded.
That means that all this decoration is not molded. Somebody got each oak leaf and each branch and each acorn and carved it out.
And they're very exact.
This is a 5-color piece of pottery. All this bleeding around the edges were all hand-tooled. On lifting it, you can see that it says New Orleans, where it says Art Pottery Club in Baronne Street. At auction, this piece would sell for,
I'm going to guess about $15,000, maybe $20,000 for this pot. It's really extraordinary.
Everybody said, don't you dare say wow.
And there's nails and a chalkboard on the bottom of it?
I should pass on this thing just out of general principle.
This guest brings his antique Pepsi-Cola cooler to the shop. He got it at a flea market for $750. This is a very unique cooler.
Back in the 1930s, Coke and Pepsi came in 6-ounce bottles and cost just a nickel. Then Pepsi introduced a 12-ounce bottle with the slogan, double size, and the Cola Wars had begun.
There are several dents on the cooler due to extensive use over the years.
I played softball for many years, and a lot of times I would take it to softball games, and it held a lot of things other than Pepsi.
It's also been repainted, losing some of its original blue color.
This thing is pretty beat up, but I've learned with old Coke and Pepsi stuff, it really doesn't matter. People will buy it just about any condition. I just have to get it at the right price.
How much will they settle on?
I'm going to stick at $350, Chief.
Boy. Well, I don't know. Hate to part with, my wife's probably going to kill me too. Okay, I'll do it. $350.
All right, let's go do some paperwork.
I just can't go home.
This item is the dream of every yacht racing sailor. This yacht race trophy was made in 1930, and it's given to the winner of the Trans-Pacific Yacht Race, which is held every 2 years.
I think it's run every 4 years or so, or used to be. I'm not sure it still is. He had the Enchantress, which won the race in 30. He had it for many years. He had a lot of boats, but that was his favorite, I think.
Unlike many trophies that are just made from cheap silver and presented to winners, this particular trophy is the cream of the crop in terms of valuable trophies. The trophy has many important details attached to it.
This one was truly a specifically commissioned piece of silver. It has this great boat finial with a sail on it. It's got these incredible mermaids blowing,
which help make it easily identifiable as a yachtsman's trophy. If this beautiful Trans-Pacific trophy were to sell at an auction, it would retail at,
I would estimate it for auction at $20,000 to $30,000.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot.
A guest brought a necklace and diamond ring to the show. She inherited it from her mother-in-law.
And I thought of the jewelry that my mother-in-law had in the safe. And you've probably seen it more than I've seen it the whole time I've been in the family, and I've been in the family over 35 years.
The jewelries were made in China around 1920. They remained influential and cherished for its elegance and historical significance. The beads are rock crystal with beautiful little silver mounts. They are different in sizes and configuration of silver. The ring has a brilliant cut and Art Deco mount. Cultural shifts led to daring and innovative designs, worn as status symbols to display wealth and taste. Diamond rings symbolize love, and for necklaces, they had various meanings. The appraiser valued it to be,
the beads are about
$1,500 to $2,000 as a retail price. The diamond ring, a retail price on this, just for the stone, is probably about $28,000. And I think the mounting, if you had to sell the mounting separately, that is probably a $3,000 mount. So basically, you've got something retail that's in the $32,000 range.
Good grief. Thank you, my mother-in-law.
Thank you, mother-in-laws. They're good.
And it's out of the safe and it's going to stay.
Acquired by the guest father in Hong Kong in 1947, these exquisite porcelain panels depict the 4 seasons of planting rice, a rare subject in Chinese art. The panels are set in Hongmu wood frames, often mistaken for teak, and showcase high-relief enamel decorations. Pink enamel color suggests a dating to the early 18th centuries, while the iron red design at the top indicates a late 18th to early 19th century style. However, due to the uneven quality of the iron red design, it's likely these panels were crafted in the early 20th century, possibly in the 1920s. The current Chinese art market, with a focus on collecting older pieces, has increased the value of 20th century items like these panels, now estimated at $40,000 to $60,000 at auction.
Okay. Take my breath away. I never would have dreamed. Never, ever. I thought maybe $3,000 or $4,000. Okay, wonderful.
Hey, what can I help you with?
Well, I have an old musket here. Kind of like to get rid of it.
We now move to this unusual half-scale antique musket. The guest bought it at an estate sale. A bayonet this size is considerably smaller when compared to a normal-sized one. The expert comes in and gives more information on this piece.
These were made just the same way as the full-size muskets, but for a youth. So a wealthy officer who had a child, say 13 years old, he would teach him the proper ways to handle a musket, just like Dad, with the bayonet and everything.
Another fascinating thing about this musket is the maker. It was made by H. Knock and dates between 1770 and 1780. It's an extremely rare piece. It's valued at about...
I would expect the bid range to be in that $5,000 to $10,000 range.
How much will they agree on?
Really think 3,000's it?
How about 35?
I'll go 3,200.
You know what? That sounds good. That sounds good.
All right, man.
Oh, it's you again. Trying to sell me something else, huh? What you got there?
I got some World War II stuff here.
This guest brings a World War II bomber jacket, hat, and first aid kit to the shop. These items belong to his father, who was a pilot in the Army. The jacket is a unique piece.
The 38 Lightning was a World War II fighter plane that was really unique because it had twin engines. It was so cool looking that the 1948 Cadillac had its tail fins modeled after it.
The hat, on the other hand, is of little value, as there is significant damage done to it by moths. The expert comes in and gives more information on the items.
P-38 Lightning was used by the 97th Fighter Squadron from 1942 to 45. The Latin name was Gervenso Satana, which is Latin for devil cat.
The jacket also has some condition issues, as there's damage to the shoulder area. In this state, it's valued at about $1,000 to $15,000.
History behind it, with the paperwork, with other stuff. I mean, the jacket could bring, $1,500 to $2,500.
The other items are valued at?
So,
Yeah,
this
right.
maybe $75.
Okay, and is the hat worth anything?
The hat is not in too great a shape. You have a lot of mothing here. In this condition, you'd be lucky to get $35, $45 out of it.
Okay.
How much will they settle on?
I was thinking around $1,500.
That's not going to happen. They got like $750 for all of it.
Listening to Paul, I'm thinking, I got paperwork at home that goes with this. Maybe I'll hold on to it, put the package together, and bring it back in here.
Yeah, because if you bring that in, I could probably make more money when I sell it.
We could all do.
Yeah, we can all make more money. It would be great.
Our guest received these beautiful earrings and necklace from her late husband as a Christmas gift. It's a Renaissance Revival 18-karat gold necklace adorned with very delicate enameling. Rubies fluorescent like flashlights. They are Cabochon and Burmese. The styles evoke the Italian Renaissance. Its maker was Carlo Giuliano.
This piece is unsigned, but in terms of the hand that made it, it's signed all over the place.
He was born in Naples in 1831. He was a master in both execution and design work. Royal figures like Queen Victoria love his work. He worked for famous jewelers and later opened his own shop. At auction,
Fair retail price is between $65,000 and $85,000.
Oh my goodness.
the insurance value of this jewelry would be $120,000. Guest had inherited a painting from her mother, which was given to her by William Robinson Lee in the mid-1960s. The appraiser highlighted Lee's artistic journey, noting that he was born in 1866 in West Virginia and established a studio in New York. Earlier, he painted landscapes and portraits.
As far as being an artist, so he went away to study art in Baltimore.
However, the artist moved to the Southwest and focused on painting Indians. The specific painting depicted a Hopi maiden from 1917.
And this picture is of a Hopi maiden. You can tell that she's unmarried by the way she's dressed and also by the style of her hair.
The appraiser identified the signature W.R. Lee and the inscription N.Y. for New York. It was made with an oil on cardboard, and the back bore the inscription Drying Corn. The appraiser noted Lee's reputation for his brilliant use of colors and light effects. How much would the piece be valued?
If this were in a retail gallery, I think the asking price could be as much as $75,000. This is really a little gem.
Wow. I have my grandfather's old army coat from the Philippine-American War.
The guest brings his grandfather's army coat, which he believed was used in the Spanish-American War. The Spanish-American War was in the year 1898. However, the age of his grandfather and the time of the war don't quite add up.
How old was your grandfather?
He was 101 in 1986.
That would have made him awfully young for the Spanish-American War. I doubt if he would be a sergeant at the time. He would have been like 12, 13 years old.
The expert comes in to help identify the coat.
When I'm looking at the coat, I'm looking for the type of coat it is, what kind of insignia is on it, if the insignia is correct to the coat, in order to kind of narrow down what it is that you're looking at.
This is a model 1902 dress uniform coat belonging to the U.S. Army.
This particular one is artillery, because you've got the red on it, that's artillery. The interesting thing on it is these two stripes here. The red one is time and service stripe. The white stripe means he was in war.
The 92 Coast Artillery was in the Philippines. Although quite young for the Spanish-American War, it's most likely he served during the Philippines insurrection.
The Philippine insurrection was a war that we fought against insurrection forces after we took over the Philippines at the end of the Spanish-American War.
The coat is missing certain pieces, such as a belt and a U.S. insignia. This is a very collectible item. It's valued at about $200.
What do we got here?
I have a Stradivarius violin, dated 1763.
A Stradivarius?
Stradivarius violin.
This violin was found in the newly acquired home of this guest. The Stradivarius violin was made by the famous instrument maker Antonio Stradivari in early 1700.
Antonio Stradivari was an instrument maker back in the early 1700s. His instruments were considered the best ever made. Many people would argue that even today, the sound quality and the precision cannot be matched.
Rick is quite skeptical of it being an original Stradivarius violin.
I'm 99% sure that this is a copy, but some copies were so well made, they're still worth a lot of money. Not millions, but thousands.
An expert is called to help authenticate the piece.
One of the first things I like to look at is the style of the violin making. The back is curly maple of a medium curl. The top is medium wide grain spruce.
The wood is consistent with what Stradivarius would have used, but it's also common among other violin makers.
Well, this is really interesting. I think I might have found something. I see that it does have a bass bar that's a separate piece of wood from the top, so that's good.
Man, you're killing me.
After much inspection, it's believed to be a copy of the Stradivarius and not an original.
The conclusion is that this violin is a copy of a Stradivari, and it was made around 1920 in either Germany or Czechoslovakia.
It's valued at about...
So what's the value in the condition it's in?
No more than 500.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
How much will they settle on?
How much you gonna give me for it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
For me to buy it off you, fix it up, and try and resell it, it's just not going to happen. It's a losing proposition all the way down the line. Thanks for bringing it in, though, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The next item is a chandelier, probably made in 1900. The guest mother bought it for $1.50 in 1964. The chandelier is English and made of copper in the arts and crafts style. The cutout panels and rivets on the corners are indicative of an English style. It was made by Liberty & Company. The thickness of copper also suggests it's made in England, as Americans used more copper because they had more copper. Being English, not American, doesn't lessen its beauty. During the arts and crafts period, these elongated pieces, known as lappets, resembled trailing vines or leaves, capturing the essence of nature. The guest has two decorative and pretty cool chandeliers.
I would say at auction in today's market, you're looking at a value of about $5,000 a piece.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
We have a natural pearl necklace with a diamond clasp. It was given to the guest as a birthday gift for Christmas.
She had originally given it to my father, and my father gave it to me on Christmas Day, and I opened it. And in the letter, it had said that she had acquired them from my grandfather, so her husband, around 1934.
It's a graduated strand of natural pearls. It has a diamond clasp with a diamond of about 40 points. Then there are some tiny old European cut diamonds around the outside.
So in the whole clasp, there's maybe 60 points of diamonds.
The clasp is also set in platinum. This piece is dated 1915 through 1925. At auction, this necklace would sell for
most likely $2,000 to $3,000.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Something I think you're really going to like. 3 player Super Bowl rings from the greatest dynasty to play football, the San Francisco 49ers.
These Super Bowl rings aren't just bling, they're a statement. Super Bowl rings are awarded to players, coaching staff, and owners of the winning team. From 1971 to 2012, the San Francisco 49ers won 5 Super Bowls and 19 division titles.
These are pretty cool. The 49ers, they just dominated the 80s. I mean, in the course of 13 years, they won 5 Super Bowls.
You got it, that's correct.
The whole evolution of Super Bowl rings is pretty cool.
These rings scream, "We did it," against all odds. The 2001 Patriots ring was made with 14-karat white gold and includes 143 diamonds. These rings belong to famous players.
Players I've never really heard of.
Really? Eric Wright, the starting cornerback for 4 Super Bowls. You've never heard of him?
Okay, and Cook?
Toy Cook had an interception in the game, and Jeff Fuller's pretty well known as well. These were starters.
These legendary rings are valued at
best offer would be $45,000 for all 3 of them.
Unfortunately, I can't part with them for that price. It's just too low.
All right. Have a good one, man. If you change your mind, call me.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next is the female version of the 49ers Super Bowl ring.
The 49ers were amazing back in the late 80s. This ring is from the 89 season where they won their 2nd Super Bowl in a row. Joe Montana was unstoppable that year.
This ring belongs to a cheerleader, and it is significantly smaller than the men's ring. The ring is valued at
$1,400 range.
Okay. Not interested. I guess I was thinking it was a few $1,000s at least.
What do we have here?
Yeah, it's a little rifle I picked up at an estate sale.
What is it, a musket?
It's a musketoon.
Does it play a song?
A musketoon is a shorter version of a musket.
A shorter, higher caliber musket. They were designed for maximum damage at short range. As you can expect, pirates loved them.
Also, they were the earlier forms of blunderbuss. This piece was popular in the late 16th and early 17th centuries.
These were really popular in the 1700s, especially with the English Navy. They were a really effective weapon when they boarded a ship. I mean, look how many pieces of glass or nails could shoot out the end of this thing.
The guest got this at an estate sale. Musketoons usually weigh around 12 pounds. Affluent individuals traveling in coaches utilize these guns for protection. Also, some persons use them in personal combat. It's got that vintage charm with intricate engravings and a wooden stock. This piece may need some form of repair. The antique musketoon is valued at
Okay. That's
All right.
more than I got in it, so.
All right. Chum, you want to write them up?
Yeah, let's do this. Meet you over there.
Okay.
The guest came with the David Klein TWA posters. He acquired them from his father-in-law, Jim. Jim was an employee of TWA. They gave him a whole stack of posters of all the destinations that they flew. TWA began running jet planes sometime in the late 1950s. The guest uses them for patterns for some poster work he did. They're all by the same artist, David Klein. David Klein was one of the most prolific commercial poster designers of the 20th century. Some people refer to these as the emblematic images of the early jet age.
The most valuable one is the one that's closest to you. Now, the two in the middle are great destinations, and David Klein did several posters that featured fireworks.
Appraisal was set between $2,300 and $3,400.
Just unbelievable. They did make great material for overspray.
The guest came with the countertop spice box display. He purchased it for $10 or $30 from a store where he was a milk delivery boy. The first thing the appraiser noticed was how brilliant the color was. And then they would have the stencil decoration, panels here, the rooster and the hens and these ships. Those were done by a machine process called lithography.
And they would have done that probably before this piece was assembled on a flat piece of tin.
Lithography is a planographic method of printing originally based on the immense ability of oil and water. Want to taste some of the spices that have been in it for 65 years?
Probably not.
At auction, the price would probably be around $4,000 to $6,000.
Interesting. Let's see. If we work that out, let's call it $30. It worked out quite well.
Autograph from Frank Sinatra back in 1987.
Old Blue Eyes.
Old Blue Eyes.
Chairman of the board.
It's not just a scribble, it's a piece of the golden age of music. It's a treasure that makes any fan's eyes light up like a Christmas tree. Frank Sinatra, known as Old Blue Eyes, was an American singer and actor. He started his music career at the age of 19. Sinatra's smooth voice made him one of the most iconic performers of the 20th century. His hits, like My Way and New York, New York, are timeless classics. The best is yet to come was engraved on his tombstone, being the last song he sang publicly. The owner wants to sell the autograph for $1,000. Almost every Italian restaurant has a duplicate piece of his signature.
He's wearing a suit, and it's usually signed in silver. He never signed it. They're secretarial, so he was known for that. Now, if it was something from that period and dated by him, especially uninscribed,
this autograph wasn't signed by Frank Sinatra, but maybe his secretary.
somebody signed for him. And even on the road, he had a secretary sitting there, sign a stack of them, hand them out to everybody. And unfortunately, it's just a nice collectible and really not worth anything.
A.H. Hirsch was distilled in 1974 at the old Pennsylvania Michter's distillery before it was scuttled.
Scuttled, that's a really great term for closed down.
Every lover of whiskey will love to get their hands on these. The A.H. Hirsch whiskey was distilled in 1974 at the old Pennsylvania Michter's distillery.
A.H. Hirsch 16-year-old is thought to be one of the most important bourbons of the 20th century. And basically the reason why these barrels were saved by a liquor store owner in northern Kentucky, and the Michter's distillery was going bankrupt. He basically found out that the bank was coming in to clear out the distillery. If we were to open this up right now, which I have a bottle in my office that I've sipped on.
This bottle is sometimes likened to the brilliance of aged bourbon. Next is a pre-Prohibition bottle of bourbon distilled in 1913. In 1921, this became a medicinal-only use bottle. This bottle needs to be opened within the next 2 years to avoid the content getting bad. This cognac was distilled in 1914 by women of the estate while the men went off to war in World War I.
Basically, cognac is white wine that's distilled. Of course, it's aged for 75 years. This was distilled by women during World War I. That was not their expertise.
Only 202 of these cognacs were produced. These rare collections are valued at
Do $2,000.
Okay, and the Hirsch?
I would do $4,500 on the Hirsch.
And I think we're way off on the...
We're probably a little farther apart on the pre-Prohibition bottle.
The guest inherited the folding sink from their father. The sink was salvaged from a disassembled World War II submarine. and had been in the Guest family garage for many years. The design of the sink is space-saving, which was crucial on submarines, where every inch of space was utilized for supplies and equipment.
This saves a lot of space. So we're going to open this up and show everybody how that works. There we go.
And it's made of stainless steel with chrome or plated brass fittings. Folding sinks like this are still used in submarines today. The appraiser values the sink between $2,000 and $3,000, noting its functionality and unique design.
Retail value I would expect to see for this is between $2,000 and $3,000.
Wow. That's more than I would have expected.
Guest came with the Royal Copenhagen vase. He got it from his parents. They bought it in North Carolina in the mid-'70s. The Guest parents were told it was Chinese. The appraiser said it's not Chinese, but it has a mark that is Royal Copenhagen. It has an artist's signature for Nude Keen. It's stylized KK, and it's dated back in the 30s. We have a stoneware pot. This one is Danish. It has these great colors, but also this wonderful giraffe motif. So, it's just this beautiful mid-20th century piece, appraised for $3,000.
Go, man. Pretty good. How you doing? Doing well. Got a few bats here from Louisville Slugger.
These bats represent the heart and soul of America's favorite pastime. These bats are Louisville Sluggers.
Yeah, Louisville Slugger is the bat maker for the MLB, and they've been making the bats for a very long time, and not only do they make them for the MLB, they make them for recreational baseball play.
When it comes to baseball bats, this brand makes the best. This is a non-game model baseball bat signed by Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was the first professional athlete to be named an All-Star in 2 different sports. He was a tough guy to get an autograph from. This model bat has a fiber tip marker, and it's in great shape. The owner used to work at Louisville Slugger. You can now make orders from Louisville Slugger. The Bo Jackson model bat is valued at
$50. If you could come up to 2, I'd feel comfortable with that. I'll make a deal on the Bo Jackson bat for $200, and I'll just let you keep the other bats. Sounds good. Appreciate the deal. All right. Thank you.
So far, this has been my favorite item. Let me know in the comments what your favorite item has been.
What do you have here?
I have the finest, most well-preserved copy of Houdini's book, autographed by the man himself.
The Unmasking of Robert Houdin is one of the greatest books by the author. Harry Houdini, a Hungarian-American escape artist, wrote the book in 1908. This book was signed by the man himself, Harry Handcuff Houdini. Robert Houdin was Houdini's idol during his formative years.
Robert Houdin is actually considered to be, the godfather of modern magic, but Houdini is actually the person who brought it to the masses and made it as popular as it was.
This book is like a backstage pass to the life of the legendary magician Robert Houdin. It was penned out of frustration for not being able to meet his mentor. Reading this book is like uncovering hidden treasures of the magic world. The Guest wishes to sell this book for $8,000. In the spring of 1900, Houdini was known as the King of Handcuffs. While this is a good book, it's quite hard to get a good bargaining edge.
At 5, I don't think there's any room for me to make a profit on it. So I think it's probably just a better fit for me to pass. And I also have a feeling that you can probably sell it easier than me.
You might be right.
The exquisite cold air return cover, inherited by the Guest, is believed to be from the Henry O. Havemeyer House in Brooklyn, New York. Created by Tiffany Glass and Decorating Company in the early 1890s. The cover features chain mail decoration with light blue opalescent Tiffany glass, reflecting the luxurious palette of blue, green, silver, and gold used throughout the home's interior. After the Havemeyers passed away, their home was demolished in the 1930s, and many architectural elements, including this piece, were auctioned off. The rarity of this Tiffany artifact make it highly desirable among collectors, with an estimated value between $45,000 and $50,000 if sold in a retail shop.
Really?
Yes. Really?
Really?
Yes.
Walter Anderson watercolor features one of his favorite subjects, the pelican, and showcases his unique style with visible pencil work, which collectors find intriguing. Walter Anderson was born in New Orleans around 1903. Anderson spent most of his life in Mississippi. He was a prolific painter and muralist, working in both oil and watercolor. The watercolor, dated 1965, was one of his last works before his death that year and is signed with his monogram. Considering the piece's condition, history, and direct connection to shearwater pottery, despite this, Anderson's work remains rare and sought after, with a similar watercolor fetching around $11,000 at auction.
This delicate vase, exhibited on the show, was acquired by the guest's mother at an estate sale in Nebraska 50 years ago.
It was the estate sale of the law partner of my grandfather, who had done a lot of traveling, and we picked up a couple things, and I was about 5 years old.
It is a hand-molded piece of California faience pottery. The vase features a unique blend of Spanish Mission and Art Deco styles.
Spanish Mission, the bright colors.
Yeah.
And Art Deco when it starts being a little bit more machine age.
Additionally, it boasts a large, rounded vegetal shape with a prominent pod at the front. On the underside, it bears the California faience mark. Dating back to the 1920s to 1930s, the vase is in remarkable condition. We can expect this well-preserved and beautiful vase to sell for...
This might bring from $1,000 to $1,500.
That's great. That's great. My mom will be thrilled.
The guest brought a porcelain plaque that had a prominent place in his childhood home. However, his kids were intimidated by the painting as its eyes seemed to follow them around the room. The subject's direct gaze from her beautiful blue eyes created a striking and unsettling image. This also suggested a generational divide in perceptions of the painting. The painting was titled Daphne, and it was dated back to 1830. The piece was identified as a KPM Wagner porcelain. The appraiser praised the painting as wonderful and startling, estimating its value at...
It really is a wonderful and startling image. In today's market, at auction, you would expect to have it bring around $7,000 or $8,000.
Gargoyle has been in the Guest family for generations, originating from their great-uncle, an attorney in Pennsylvania, who received it as payment from a client. The gargoyle is most likely Italian, evidenced by the loose modeling of the clay, vibrant colors, and the application of gold, typical of Italian pottery. It's part of the Renaissance revival movement, popular in Europe in the late 19th century. The gargoyle was likely made for home decoration. The appraiser recommends cleaning the gargoyle with a cotton swab. The gargoyle could fetch a retail price of at least $2,000 to $3,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
The guest bought this stoneware piece for $75 in 1980. The unique upside-down bird showcases the rarity and uniqueness of this folk art salt-glazed stoneware.
This piece is one of the most sculptural, most folky, most exciting pieces of pottery, of folk art that has come to us in years.
This sculpture is from Ohio and depicts two men by a stump alongside an adorable pig. We have this hollowed log in front of it. The gentleman's rifle is slightly damaged, but with his mustache, he looks great. The upside-down object can spark imagination, leading us to see it as deer or turkey. It dates from about 1865 to 1895. It's covered with brown slip and beautifully baked at temperatures between 2100 to 2200 degrees. The dots of blue and brown on the base are excellent. Being worthy and in excellent condition, its value at auction would be...
I think that this piece at auction could have an estimate of $10,000 to $15,000.
I can't believe it.
The woman in the photograph is Lucrezia Borri, a renowned Spanish opera singer. These earrings, once owned by Borri, were passed down from her personal secretary, who was the great-aunt of today's guest.
What's interesting about these earrings is that the central parts are detachable.
The earrings can be seen in various operas worn by Borri herself. What's remarkable about these earrings is their 18th century design made of gold and garnet with detachable segments.
But these are definitely an 18th century pair of earrings. They're made of gold and garnet.
The detachable feature allowed for various styles and lighter wear during travel.
But you can see there are these little tabs on the back that are used to separate each of the corresponding segments.
Despite the tops being later additions, the earrings maintain their historical integrity. The engravings and tabs enhance their uniqueness and charm. Considering their excellent condition and rich provenance, these earrings are valued at?
I would say that you would probably want to insure these for anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000.
That's amazing. Wow, thank you. Unbelievable.
Before us is an exquisite cloisonné panel acquired by the guest's grandfather during his time in China.
What do you think he was doing in China?
I think he was an engineer.
And he was in China in the late 19th century, maybe early 20th century.
This remarkable piece was gifted to him around the 1900s by a Chinese emperor. Upon close inspection, we can see delicate gilded lines known as cloisons. The panel features intricate depictions, including aged figures sitting and playing a shang, as well as another group engaged in a game of wei qi. In the background, a vibrant temple complex stands surrounded by stylized rocks, adding depth and color to the scene. Despite its beauty, the surface shows signs of pitting, a natural consequence of aging. At auction, this symbolic piece of Chinese history is estimated to be worth...
I have no idea.
Let's try $70,000 to $100,000 at auction.
Wow, that's wonderful.
This man inherited a watch worth $100,000 from his late grandfather. While getting rid of old stuff, his grandmother passed few things to him. These included a watch, his grandfather's pilot logbook, and his license. His grandfather was part of a U.S. Air Force Special Tuskegee program called Red Tails during World War II in 1941. The pilot logbook contained the private information that was otherwise confidential. The watch alone was worth $7,000 approximately. But with his grandfather's original license and pilot's logbook, the value raised up to $100,000. When the auctioneer heard the value of the belongings, he was filled with surprise and delight. Then,
an auction estimate that I would put on it preliminary would be $50,000 to $100,000.
Gerald Ford's real name is Leslie Lynch King. These are letters he wrote to the guest's mother, who was his cousin. This, and the two letters below it, were written when he was vice president, and all bear his signature. What makes this letter interesting is the reference to his decision to pardon former President Nixon. It's such an extraordinary item, and at auction would fetch.
The value of this letter was between $4,000 and $6,000, and these signatures are not to be ignored. They would run $800 to $1,000.
I have a harpoon gun.
That is amazing. Where in the world did you get this?
Got it in Cape Cod.
So picture this. You're out on the high seas, hunting for big game like a true adventurer. And what's your trusty weapon of choice? The harpoon guns. This guest got this piece in Cape Cod. The harpoon gun was first invented in 1731. This piece is perfect for taking down those massive sea creatures like whales. Harpoon guns were made of soft iron to prevent breaking easily when whales thrashed. With the power and precision of this gun, you'll feel like a modern-day captain. This gun was made by Holland & Holland in England.
That matches the serial number of the barrel. That's great, means it hasn't been messed with. It's got the original harpoon, which is really important because many times those get lost. Have you ever fired it?
I have not fired it.
This functional harpoon gun is valued at...
$5?
No.
I know you want this, Rick. Can we meet at $4,500 and call it a day?
It's a deal.
Beautiful. That's great.
All right.
Thanks, Rick.
All right,
I really
sweet, man.
Okay, what do you have here?
Well, I have my issue of the Avengers, #9, the very first appearance of Wonder Man.
Getting your hands on a gem like this is like hitting the jackpot of comic book treasures. This is Avenger issue #9, the first appearance of Wonder Man. This piece was signed by the man himself, Stan Lee. Stan Lee was an absolute legend in the comic book world. He co-created some of the most iconic superheroes, like Spider-Man and the Avengers. The guest purchased the comic at a garage sale for just 25 cents. This comic is graded 9.2, which is the highest of all grades. Wonder Man was a formidable villain against the Avengers and the Marvel series. The guest wants to sell this comic for $6,000. The comic book is valued at...
Would you sell it for $3,700?
Well, I think you made a fair offer, but I think I'll just Yeah, go ahead and pass for now.
Yeah, it's only going to go up in value.
Yeah.
Only unless something crazy happens in the comic book world.
There you go.
She brought in a painting by Peter Hurd titled Checking the Fence, commissioned by her father-in-law as an anniversary present for her mother-in-law. The artist, Peter Hurd, was a friend of the father-in-law who worked in Border Patrol. Hurd, born in Roswell, New Mexico in 1904, is known for his watercolors depicting the New Mexico landscape and cowboy culture. The painting has a cowboy checking the fence in the New Mexico field, capturing the essence of the region's beauty. The appraiser praised the artwork's well-preserved condition. The suggested price at the Santa Fe marketplace will surprise you.
This, I believe, an asking price and therefore the insurance value would probably be somewhere in the range of $25,000 at the current time.
Thank you.
Does that surprise you?
Yes.
Yes. Are you happily surprised?
Very happily surprised.
The guest inherited the dress from their great aunt, who likely wore it during the Art Deco period of the 1920s and 1930s. The dress features intricate hand-sewn beadwork, including a palm tree motif with a waterfowl, showcasing the exotic and geometric themes typical of Art Deco design. The absence of a label makes it challenging to identify the dress's maker, but the craftsmanship suggests the work of a skilled artist. The appraiser advises against storing the dress in a box, recommends using acid-free tissue or a white cotton sheet to preserve it. The appraised value for insurance purposes is estimated at $1,500 to $2,000.
Excellent.
Well, that's great.
Thank you for bringing it.
So a good friend of mine loves to scavenger hunt for junk, and on one of his hunts, he found this.
This is an old neon sign. The guest friend found this neon sign on one of his scavenger hunts. It has inscribed on it, "Fine Italian Food." Neon gets its name from the Greek word neos, which means new. The guest feels it's worth $1,350. This neon sign had a chef with animated legs holding meatballs. Although this sign is in a really bad state, it can be brought back to life. The final look of this piece after refurbishment is amazing, and its value goes up between $15,000 to $20,000. After bargaining, the old scrap piece was sold for.
You can sell it to me, and I'll give you $500.
$500.
Okay, it was in the garbage.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
$500, we got a deal?
We got a deal.
Sweet. Go right up in there, they will get you paid. Hey, how's it going?
Good, and you?
Doing well. So this is the antique flintlock you called me about, right?
That's correct.
The revolutionary flintlock gun is one of a kind. Flintlock was invented in France in the late 1660s. They serve as a replacement for matchlocks and wheel locks. Most importantly, they form the foundation of modern guns. As a member of a gun club, the guest got it from one of his club members. This gun was made by Thomas Murdoch.
Thomas Murdoch, one of the most famous gun makers in Scotland. His pistols became iconic for steel in the late 18th century. So much so that if you see this type of pistol and it doesn't have Murdoch's name on it.
Liam Neeson's character in Rob Roy used a Murdoch flintlock pistol. This flintlock gun is made of steel, making it an ideal choice.
Steel, so it's stronger. Officers in the British Army, especially Scottish officers, this would have been their pistol of choice.
Oh, wow.
It also has a number 1 above the Murdoch. Very likely this is one of a pair.
These types of guns are usually made in pairs. This beautiful piece is worth
$45.
I'm sorry, $3,500 is really the most I'm going to be able to do for me to make some money.
$4,000.
$3,500.
Okay.
We got a deal?
Yep.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
This jewelry suite was gifted as an unusual engagement present in 1851. It contained 2 bar pins, a large brooch, and a bracelet that was also a watch. This gift was so ahead of its time because not only was it unusual to give jewelry like this as an engagement present, it was also unusual to wear watches on the wrist. This Keywine Swiss watch/bracelet was made of solid gold, pearls, and blue guiche enamel. It must have cost a fortune in 1851. But how much did the appraiser think the set was worth now? The appraiser estimated the value of the set to be $15,000, to the owner's delight.
That's amazing.
Today's guest presented these timepieces on behalf of her father, who couldn't come on the show. The items are of American origin and date back to circa 1861. One of these watches illustrates the early period of watchmaking in America. Opening the cover of the piece reveals on the dial the maker's name, E. Howard & Company, Boston.
They were the first people who successfully manufactured precision equipment in very, very large quantities.
Furthermore, on the back of the watch, we can see its unique arrangement of plates and wheels. While the second watch is ordinary compared to Howard's, the watch made by Howard's company is sought after, placing its value at...
It's worth anywhere, let's say, from $1,500 to $3,000. A very collectible and desirable American watch.
It looks like an ordinary teddy bear, except for its huge size. This bear is called a Steiff bear, and it is one of the most prized dolls in the antique world. The most fascinating part of this bear is that despite being created in 1950, it has clearly been well maintained and retains its high quality.
I see here we have a picture of you back in 1951.
Yeah, with my mom there.
It always amazes me when somebody carries it around all through their life, and obviously you took care of it because he's really, really in good shape.
This bear is especially valuable because its manufacturer, Steiff, is the premier maker of toy bears. Steiff was the company which coined the name teddy bears. This bear was made by the premier maker of toys and is still in top quality. For these reasons, the huge bear toy would reasonably auction at an estimate of...
I think a fair auction price today would be about $3,500.
Oh, you're kidding.
How's it going?
Good, how you doing today?
What do we got here?
I got a Pez collection I'm looking to unload today.
Collecting Pez dispensers has been a great hobby for this guest over the years.
I like Pez collecting because they're pretty cool. I mean, it's real Americana. You know, like baseball cards or Barbie dolls, G.I. Joe dolls. It's just fun collecting them.
Some of the items include Casper the Ghost, Mickey Mouse, Batman, and Zorro, amongst others.
Such a big collector, man. Why are you looking to sell them?
Well, to be honest with you, a lot of these are my doubles.
Okay.
And I just want to unload them.
Okay.
So I can make money on them and...
buy more Pez, obviously.
Buy more Pez, definitely.
Okay.
More rare ones.
This is indeed a great collection. The guest wants $2,500 for them. How much will they agree on?
I'm going to offer you $1,000, my friend, just because I got to resell them.
You could put these on the internet individually and definitely make your money back on these. Give me $2,000, man.
$1,000 is what I can do.
It's fine.
All right, buddy.
Get out of here, man.
These captivating portraits were drawn by John James Audubon in 1820, known for his exquisite bird illustrations. However, in this unique instance, Audubon created portraits of people.
And he drew them to make a little money so that he could continue drawing birds.
Aha!
He got about $5 a piece, or maybe $5 for both.
The subjects of these portraits are Eliza Lytle and General William Lytle, ancestors of the guest. Eliza was depicted in her 40s, though she sadly passed away shortly after the portrait was done, while the general went on to become a military man. John James Audubon, born in Haiti, came to America and ventured into portrait art before focusing on birds in the late 1820s. These pencil and charred portraits are a testament to Audubon's skills. If auctioned today, they could fetch between $80,000 and $120,000.
Oh, my goodness!
This exquisite Visalia saddle, dating back to the mid-1890s to 1900s, holds a fascinating history. It was gifted to the guest's great-grandfather by Brigadier General John Coster, who mentored him. Every piece of this custom outfit is marked with a K for Coster, including the bit, the bridle, and more. The saddle features intricate silverwork, possibly done by Shaisling in San Francisco, and it's a testament to the finest California riding outfits. The spurs and bit, though their maker is unknown, are valued at $4,000 to $6,000 and $3,000 to $5,000 respectively. The saddle itself is estimated to be worth $8,000 to $10,000, with the martingale, a horse's neck strap, valued at $1,000. In total, the outfit could fetch anywhere from $16,000 to $25,000.
I think I crawled all over this thing as a kid.
What we have here seemingly looks like a random music band poster with brochures and a vinyl record on the table. The guest was a music promoter who helped create these promotional materials in the mid-1960s. These items played a significant role in the early promotions of the psychedelic rock band Pink Floyd, a famous English rock band formed in London in 1965, often cited as the greatest progressive rock band of all time. The band was in its early years pioneering psychedelic rock. The poster prominently displays Pink Floyd in bold, stylized lettering that catches the eye. Looking closely at the brochures, with their unusual and appealing design featuring band members Syd Barrett, Roger Waters, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason on them. These items are rare, especially the poster, despite its condition.
This is not in the greatest condition, but hey, it's been around a huge amount of time.
The unique brochure detailing the band's early years should sell for
probably £500 to £800.